I love what they did in free agency the most. They won free agency, in my opinion, is the Washington Commanders. Can we talk about them for a minute? They haven't made huge, flashy moves, right? But, okay, Adam Peters, their new GM, I'm interested. You've got me. You've got my attention because I like under the radar. I like underselling and over-delivering. And he quietly added a bunch of nice little pieces, veterans that, have made the roster more well-rounded.
Kay Adams couldn't be more right. Dan Quinn has done such a phenomenal job with this roster, bringing in new guys. I mean, just take a look at it. Austin Eckler, Bobby Wagner, Tyler B, Dorrance Armstrong, Frankie Louvu, Jeremy Chinn. I don't know how they did that. I don't know what the Panthers are doing. Zach Ertz on a one-year deal, reuniting with Kliff Kingsbury. Nick Allegretti, the Super Bowl champion guard for the Chiefs, right? Dante Fowler, Cleveland Farrell on a one-year deal. I mean, the Commanders are racking them up. They also bring in Noah Igbinoghene, and they also just signed Michael Davis. I mean, they are not stopping, and they still have one of the biggest cap spaces in the NFL. So they're not doing the bad thing in terms of, we got new staff, we got a new GM. Let's go out there and pay everybody. That's not what they're doing. If you look at some of these deals, they're barely giving money away, and they still have one of the most cap spaces in the NFL right now. Dan Quinn is the ultimate player coach. He can get guys here with nothing but just the faith, the confidence that Dan Quinn is going to change a lot of these guys' career, as well as bring in some vets to change the culture. Now, in this video, we're going to break down everything you need to know about their most recent signings. What's it mean to their team? We already dropped a part 1 and a part 2. This is now part 3. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about Frankie Louvu, about Dante Fowler, as well as some of the new corners they got, Noah Igbinoghene, Michael Davis, and some other guys as well. So, with that being said, they're going to continue to make moves. They're going to continue to sign more players. If you guys want a part 4, when that does happen, comment down below part 4. And with that being said, make sure you subscribe. More Commanders content rest of the season. Let's get right into the breakdown. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice about Michael Davis, which you see him at the top of your screen right here, lengthy corner, 6'2", 197 pounds, right? But the number one thing about him is he is tenacious. He gets to the football and he can make plays, either swatting it down, getting an interception. He makes plays happen. We're going to look at some of his stats over his career in a second. But watch this play as there's an out route here. He reads the quarterback's eyes the entire way down. Tom Brady throws it, and boom, here comes Michael Davis. Absolute amazing interception, and then has that breakaway speed to take these in the other direction. Just an amazing play by Michael Davis on one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback of all time. And these are the things that he's been doing consistently over his career. Now, he is starting to drop down a little bit, getting up there in age, but still a very reliable player that can be someone you can go to and he could be your cornerback 2, your 3, or even your 4 as well. So not only do you bring more depth and more of a dynamic, more versatility to your DB room, but a veteran who can help the young guys develop, especially a guy like Emmanuel Mosley, who was coming out of college known as the guy who knows how to jump routes, right? But now you pair him up with, Michael Davis, right? You talk about Dan Quinn, and then the defensive coordinator as well coming over from Dallas, right? I think it was Joe Whitt. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that guy knows how to get his DBs in the area to win football games and to make big-time plays. Michael Davis is a guy that will do that right away. Now let's break down some of his stats from last season. Now the first thing you'll notice here is Michael Davis has spent the entirety of his career in LA with the Chargers, but most recently I want to talk about last season, right? 62 tackles, a guy who's very consistent in terms of playing games, never misses more than 3 or 4 games a season, right? But also 62 tackles back-to-back years, consistent tackler. But the biggest thing I want to point out to you is look at these passes deflected, man. 10, 15, 12, 14, 9, right? The man really knows how to disrupt some passes, right? 69 over a 7-year career is actually pretty good, but also knows how to get some turnovers as well. I mean, 1 interception, 1, 1, 3, 2, right? The man can intercept some passes. Now, when you look at the Commanders' depth chart right now, and we go to the defensive side of the football here, what we'll notice is they have some young guys, right? Benjamin St-Juste, the former third-round pick back in 2021. You have Quan Martin, the second-round pick of last season, and then you have Emmanuel Forbes, the first-round pick of last season as well, right? So, obviously, they are really trying to develop these guys. And how you do that, or at a good level, good rate, right? You bring in veterans. You bring in guys that can not only come in, be day one starters, be day one depth role players, but also guys who come in and don't have the big ego where they're like, yeah, I will help you develop some of these guys, right? I'll help you in molding these guys in who they should be. So I think that is a big thing about it. And then you look at defensively here as I move this over a little bit here. Now, what we're going to notice here, 30 in interception percentage, 32 in pass yards allowed per game, 31 in yards allowed per pass, 23. The pass defense was terrible. So they go out right away and they add, obviously he's not here right now, but you add Michael Davis. You add Noah Igbinoghene, who has time with Dan Quinn in Dallas. Also with Whitt Jr, right? And then Jeremy Chinn, who I don't know how they got Jeremy Chinn. This dude is a baller coming off a pretty bad season where he was not being played the right way. I guarantee you, Dan Quinn is going to play him the right way. But also, I do want to talk a little bit about Noah Igbinoghene and how he could be, someone who not only has potential, but could also be amazing in this defense as well. Alright guys, before we get back into this video and talk about why Adam Peters is suddenly a genius here for the Washington Commanders and the moves that they've made, do me a favor, hit the like button just so we can get this video out to more Commanders fans. If this video gets up to 400 likes, we'll be dropping a part 4 of the entire offensive breakdown. So if you guys do want a part 4, comment down below part 4, or go watch the part 1 and 2 if you haven't already done so. But also subscribe if you're new, it's free, doesn't cost anything. Join the family. Let's get right back into the video. Now, the first thing you'll notice about Noah Igbinoghene is another lengthy corner, only 5'11", definitely not as tall as Michael Davis, but again, really good at disrupting the pass at the catch point, right? He's also a guy who is a former first-round pick. Again, we'll break down some of his stats. As you see here, just does really good sticking to his receiver, making sure there is no space, keeping his hands relatively off him, enough to not draw a penalty, and then boom, football's there, turns his head, and makes a great play on the football. These are things you want to see out of him. And here we go, one-on-one play. Here we go, gets up there, makes a play on the football, gets it out of his hands. So right away we see Michael Davis, who is really good at getting pass deflections, and now we see Noah Igbinoghene, a former first-round pick out of Auburn, who everyone thought this dude was going to be a stud. And sometimes in the NFL, guys have an eye for talent, right? Dan Quinn is a guy who's like, yeah, let's go trade for Noah Igbinoghene. Now, he didn't really play too much over there in Dallas. Just wasn't, enough space for him and enough, playing time for him. But over here in Washington, I wouldn't be surprised at all if you see a guy like Noah Igbinoghene come in here and make a difference from day one, right? If he comes in training camp and makes some plays. Now, watch this one right here. Throws it quick, right side, right corner of the end zone. Boom, Noah Igbinoghene on a taller 6'7" wide receiver, gets up there, breaks it down. I mean, amazing, right? And there's one more play I want to show you here. Don't think it's this one. I think it might be this one right here. We got Kenny Pickett dropping back in the pocket, looking left, stepping up, and watch this play here by Noah Igbinoghene, right throwing to the left corner. And here comes Noah. Boom. Unbelievable toe tap catch, interception. This is the guy I really like, not only because of his versatility, but the the potential of him as well. Now, as you see here, Noah Igbinoghene, only 24 years old, out of Auburn, a first-round pick back in 2020, 5'11", 197, right? Hasn't really played too much. Did spend time with Dallas last season, but again, didn't play too much at all. Was, primarily a special teamer in his first couple of seasons. But I think with another year with Dan Quinn and Whitt Jr, he learned a lot last year with Dallas. I think he can really come in here and be a game changer, man. I really do believe he's someone that can fit into the system, right? You have a bunch of young guys. He fits into that system where you have a bunch of young guys trying to develop, right? But he also has the opportunity to break out. This is a former first-round pick. And I'll tell you one thing. If Dan Quinn didn't believe in him, obviously it's one thing if he's never even seen him in practice or, in the film room, right? But Dan Quinn has spent time with this guy. And Whitt Jr. has spent time with this guy. So it is a clear clear and cut that they went out there and brought him in for a reason. I'm not saying he's going to be a day one starter. I'm not saying he's going to even make the team. But they saw something in Noah Igbinoghene that not a lot of other teams saw. And there's a reason they brought him back here, or brought him with them, right? That's what I'm trying to say. I think this could be a really good addition. I really do. Now, as for Jeremy Chinn, I mean, the dude is just a difference maker. Yes, he is coming off a couple of bad seasons in Carolina, but when he first started off, this dude was one of the best young safeties in the NFL. I mean, he had 2 back-to-back 100 tackle seasons, and then they decided, okay, let's move him to slot corner. No, he is a true safety. The man is a difference maker at safety, and they pretty much just ruined his last couple of years. But with that being said, the Commanders were able to sign him to a cheap deal instead of that all-pro type of deal that he would be getting if he stayed at safety. This is a guy that can come in, be a day one starter, a veteran, a leader, a guy who can change the culture and the atmosphere of this football team, right? I mean, he has over 324 tackles in 4 seasons. Again, his last season only had 30 because they moved him to slot for some weird reason. He has 4 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, 2 interceptions, 17 pass deflections, and 17.5 run stuffs as well. You talk about that 2021 season where he had 107 tackles, 10.5 run stuffs, an interception, a sack, a forced fumble. The man can do everything you need him to do. And then you look at the rest of the roster, the rest of the guys they brought in defensively. Dorrance Armstrong, right? That's a guy who right away you talk about has the experience under Dan Quinn, has played under Joe Whitt. Well, not Joe Whitt because he was I think he was the DB coach, right? But Armstrong has familiarity with the defensive style that they want to run here in Washington with Dan Quinn. But then you talk about Clelin Ferrell, a young first-round pick, number 3 overall to the Raiders. Maybe a change of scenery helps him grow into a different player. I mean, you could just continue to go down the list. And then we talk about a guy like Frankie Louvu, who is still very young, only 27 years old, 6'3", right? I mean, this dude is amazing. Last season, over 125 tackles, 2022, 111, right? Back-to-back monster seasons. He had 5.5 sacks this year, 7 last year. He has 5 forced fumbles in the last 4 seasons. He also has an interception. He has 43.5 run stuffs over his career. The man can not only drop back into coverage a little bit, but can stop the run, get to the quarterback, is a reliable tackler. You add versatility. I mean, everything we've seen the Commanders do, versatility, new dynamic, versatility. You talk about this Commanders defense, and you talk about deadly. You talk about just brand new vibes, culture, everything you could think of. The Commanders are absolutely demolishing this offseason so far. And then you continue to go down the list. I mean, you talk about Dante Fowler, a guy that can get to the quarterback, is getting up there in age, was a former top, I believe, 5 pick, if I'm not mistaken, was a guy who was highly touted coming out of college, and in the NFL, maybe hasn't taken that big leap up of being that first-round talent guy, but has always been very consistent in terms of getting to the quarterback and just adds more depth to this team. I mean, when we take a look at the depth chart here in a second, we'll see that the depth of this team is really, really good, and most of those moves have come from free agency, and they had such a long way to go in the offseason in terms of rebuilding this roster, and like we said in the beginning of the video, they still have a ton of cap space. They still are going to continue to bring in new talent, new guys to be day one starters. And then you talk about the 4 new Cowboys players they brought in to stay in the division, to know who they're going against. You know, they face these teams multiple years in a row, and they're going to continue to do it under Dan Quinn. Now, real quickly, as we're looking at the depth chart here, let's just break it all down, right? And there's going to be more moves to come, I guarantee it. And this doesn't even show the whole picture because Michael Davis should be in here somewhere. But Dorrance Armstrong, right? Beautiful fit, a guy coming from Dallas with Dan Quinn. Dante Fowler, again, beautiful guy, beautiful talented guy coming from Dallas with Dan Quinn, right? Clelin Ferrell, former first-round pick. Sometimes all you need is a change of scenery, and you can become that guy. Now, I don't think he'll be that guy. I do think he'll be a very solid rotational piece off the edge for them like he was for San Fran last season. And then the linebacker core, this needed to be adjusted so much. Right away, you change the pace, you change the dynamic, the versatility, the veteran leadership of Bobby Wagner is insane. You add him with Jamin Davis trying to help him develop as a former first-round pick. That is just excellent, right? Frankie Louvu, we just talked about how much he is a game changer, the versatility of him being able to drop back into coverage, get to the quarterback, and be a run stuffer as well. I mean, I don't even get it, right? And then Anthony Pittman, a guy coming from Detroit who has, all the potential in the world as a special teamer, but maybe even shows some sort of potential as a 3-down guy. Maybe not 3-down guy, but someone who can be a spot start, someone who can rotate in with the defense. I think Anthony Pittman could be a solid player as well, especially on special teams. We talked about Noah Igbinoghene in this video, so I don't want to deep dive into him. We talked a little bit about Jeremy Chinn being a versatile monster coming off a bad season, not getting paid too much. Beautiful addition. And then Michael Davis. I mean, defensively, this team did everything, man. You had 4 new starters. You had potentially 2 more starters here in Jeremy Chinn and Dante Fowler. And then Michael Davis could even be a starter as well. And then you look at offensively, we're not even done, man. Nick Allegretti, Tyler B, Zach Ertz, Marcus Mariota. Now, who's the quarterback going to be? I think it's going to be Jaden Daniels. A lot of people don't think he is it. We'll see what happens. Maybe someone. Let me know in the comments. Who do you want as quarterback? Drake May, Jaden Daniels. Let me know who you want. And then you have Austin Eckler, the insane receiving back out of the Chargers. And then Brian Robinson. So now you're extremely versatile in terms of the offense as well. But if you guys want me to break down the offensive pickups, I think I want to wait a little bit longer. Maybe another couple of days. If you guys want a part 4, I believe this would be, drop down in below part 4, or just say offensive breakdown. That will let me know you guys want to see more of this film, more of this breakdown. I'll let you guys know if it's coming. But if this video gets up to 400 likes, I will no matter what do it. But with that being said, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family, and I'll see you guys in the next Commanders breakdown, which should be soon. Peace.